A Silver-Eyed Girl's Godly Companion by Mr. Unorthodox, Chapter 1. God meets a Red-Hooded Reaper. Ruby Rose, 15 years old, has red-tipped black hair, lithe and athletic figure, and was wearing a black and red outfit consisting of a red cloak, a corset, a blouse, a frilly skirt, black stockings and boots, with a belt holding large cartridges and a magazine pouch for her transforming weapon that was currently in its compact form attached to her back. Crescent Rose. It was a high-impact sniper rifle that's able to transform to a large size that's easily bigger than her. As she was finishing her annual visit to her mother's grave, she noticed something out of the ordinary. It wasn't the lack of grim activity that sometimes happens, no. It was the sudden darkness that overtook her surroundings, as if something was blocking the sun. There in the big open sky, a giant rip was forming, slowly stretching, slowly becoming wider and wider until it was as wide as a giant lake. Then, as if a giant hole wasn't enough, a giant something was falling through the rip, quickly descending, falling, and when it met land, there was a resounding boom, so loud and powerful that it made her stumble and fall on her bum. Though despite all of this, she remained calm. Oh my flipping gosh, what the heck is happening? Yep, perfectly calm. While she was not flipping out, the giant something was shrinking. It continued on to do so until it was the size of a tall teenager, which is exactly what it, or rather he, is. He was 6 feet and 3 inches tall, with long and spiky sunny blonde hair, strange red eyes that each has three concentric circles, each having three comma-like symbols in them, a toned body build, and a peachy complexion. He also has three whisker marks on each cheeks, two long and straight horns on his forehead, and 10 silver foxtails behind him as a reminder of his friend. He was wearing a black bodysuit with lines going along his arms and legs with a circular making over his chest, a white coat with long sleeves and a design similar to his eyes on the back, and open-toed sandals. It was Naruto Uzumaki, 17-year-old former Shinjurki of all the tailed beasts, a current badass god, albeit a mortal one, but he's still a badass. Fuck, that hurt. Naruto sweared, holding his throbbing head. Maybe he should train in his ocular abilities before he used them. Meh, maybe after he got settled in this new place. Swear jar! Ruby yelled, but then got wide-eyed and nervous when the man looked at her. It was her fault that her instinct to shout out swear jar was triggered by a stranger that she'd only seen, and one that looks friendly powerful. Crap basket, she was gonna die without even becoming a huntswoman first, too. That was the second worst way to die, right besides dying through CMDS or cookie and milk deprivation syndrome. That was the cruelest death she could think of. Wait, what was she thinking about in the first? Hey, you there! Place right. That. Well, she thought, time to start running for my life. And she did. Quite fast, too, thanks to her speed semblance. Too busy fearing for her life, she didn't notice Naruto, the man's name, flying towards her. Hey, can you tell? Hey, stop running! He began, only causing Ruby to run even faster, which was saying something, which wasn't a good idea on her part because that caused him to be more determined to catch her. He was lost in need of directions and stubborn, so yeah. Ah, you're chasing me. How can you be chasing me? Why are you chasing me? Ruby screamed, startled at the fact that the horned man was able to chase her at her top speed. I was just gonna ask for directions, Naruto yelled over the winds. Seriously, it wasn't like he was going to hurt her. Why are you even running? You fell from a rip in the sky, caused an earthquake, and made a giant crater in the ground. You're asking me why I'm running away from you? As she asked, or yelled back at Tad rudely. Maybe I shouldn't hang much with my friends. I'm starting to pick their habits. She thought absently as she ran in place. What? Before you kill me, can I at least have one request? She said in defeat. She might be dying sooner than she planned, but she refused to die without having her family hear one last I love you from her. Kill you? Didn't you hear what I said a couple of moments ago? I was just gonna ask you for directions. Sheesh. If this goes on, I'm gonna be painted as an evil god or something, Naruto said with slight irritation, nasing his tone. Honestly, first she reprimanded him for his way of talking. Second, she ran away from him when he was just asking for help. And lastly, she was implying he was a murderer, happy person. That was just plain rude. You're just asking for help? Ruby asked demurely. She got a nod. Wait, you're a god? Isn't it obvious? Alright, different dimensions. Yeah, I'm a god. See the horns and the eyes? Those are signs of divinity in my dimensions. Those are godly symbols? She got a nod for an answer. You're from another dimension? Even from all of the fear she felt moments ago, she was a tad excited and starry-eyed. I dimension hopper. That was so cool. That rip in the sky moment ago was a portal. Wasn't that obvious enough? He thought that everyone knew that a rip in the air was a sign of a portal opening from another dimension. A god from another dimension. That's so freaking cool. Ruby mumbled to herself until she realized something. Wait, if you're a god, then why are you here? Don't you have some godly duties or something? And well, what god are you of? Naruto sat down and patted the ground beside him. Why don't we sit down? With only slight hesitation did she sit. Those are good questions, actually, some that requires quite a lengthy story. So why don't we start over? My name's Naruto Uzumaki, 17-year-old mortal god of life and death, time, space, nature, animals, chakra, ninshu, ninjutsu, peace, weapons, and spirits. He didn't know why he was given the dominions of life and death and weapons, though. A god of weapons? That is awesome! What kind do you use often? Do you use transformation ones? It'd be so cool if it is. Can I see it? Can I? And she rambled on, only stopping when she noticed his deadpan stare. With a sheepish look, did she stop her rambling and introduce herself? Sorry about that. Anyway, I'm Ruby Rose, 15-year-old and a huntsman in training. Hey, you didn't answer why you're here, she pointed out with a frown. Uh, an adorable frown. Well, can't be two gods of the same title in the same place, right? So we gods, at least the ones from my place, we look for our own place. Because the place where I'm from is like a crossroad where no matter what, we'll always meet at least one god every century. I myself met 5 different gods, a descendant of 3 and an heir to 2. He bragged what? It wasn't often that he bragged about his heritage and lineage. Besides, there were a couple more he didn't mention. When more than two gods meet, there's always conflict. So, long story short, we avoid staying in our own dimensions to avoid its destruction. So, questions? Yeah, about the fact that no one's coming here to investigate the place. That? How about widespread illusion? Okay, how can you be a mortal god? He stood up and offered her a hand. I'm not eternal. I age like you do, but I am damn invulnerable though. It's because when I die, I'll shed my mortality and be a true immortal. Next, what are you gonna do now? That's a good question, actually. I'm going to enjoy my life while helping others. Maybe interfere with fate a couple of times and definitely hunt them down. Before Ruby could ask who's them, Naruto continued on. But right now, I'm going to look for the purest soul, bind myself with them, and maybe give them a gift just for the hell of it. Bind yourself? So that this is where my spirit goes to, not my world. Any more questions? Where are you going to be staying at? I don't know actually, but anywhere is good because I don't have any problem sleeping on any surface. I can always sleep in a. Why didn't you stay with me? Ruby blurted out without thinking. It was, after all, told by her father to help those in need, and a homeless foreigner is the one in need. What, really? I mean, that's very kind of you and all, but aren't you suspicious of me at all? Shock and a slight of disbelief was lacing his tone. Here he was, practically a complete stranger, and yet she's offering him to stay at her home. No, not really. Maybe at first, but you're a good person. I can feel it. Besides, you need help, and I can help you, so why not? You're really beautiful, you know that. She sputtered and blushed and moved to interrupt him, but he wasn't finished yet. He got down on one knee and continued. The second I landed on this world, I felt every single being in it, and amongst the myriads of lights, you're the most brightest one that shines, the most purest one out there, the only one I could trust with my will and life. So will you, Ruby Rose, give me the honor of being bonded to me, to be your life partner, your pillar, and you mine? She was about to say that it was a little too fast to be chosen like that, that they just meant that it sounded too much like a marriage proposal, but her heart was pounding like crazy, and if there was one thing that her mother said that she cherished the most was to follow her heart, and she still remembers what her father said about love. Love takes time sometimes, and sometimes it's sudden. You can't know how you fall in love or why you'll love them, but you could always feel who's gonna be your other, so just be patient. You never know, he or she, I won't judge, might just be around the corner. Dad, I was just gonna ask what a crush is. Wait, who has a crush on who? My friend said someone has a crush on me, she mumbled. Whom is it? God, I don't know. Look, Sway's chewing the couch. So she refrained from saying no. If I say yes, are you gonna support me all the way through? Through high and low, he answered. Be my pillar of strength when I need it. I will never falter. Be always there for me. I will never leave you. Love me? She asked quietly. He smiled tenderly. At least she knew that this is a life bond, always and forever. Do you love me now? I don't want this to be loveless. I'm falling for you more as we speak. The sincerity of his tone made her blush. Do you ever plan on using me? Are you using me now? I'd rather be immortal and die. Can you prove that? Instead of answering, he took her hands, then she felt it, his happiness. and his ever-growing love for her. And then she saw his past, his joy, his anger, his sadness, his loyalty. She saw it all. To be trusted so expectedly felt so good and warm. She presented a hand to him, put a ringer on it. He chuckled gladly. Her hands glowed brightly enough for her to close her eyes. As brightly it shone, it ended as quickly, and then she saw it, an elegant band of gold with carvings of strange but beautiful symbols, and a ruby stone in the shape of a rose. A rose made of ruby. Yango loved the irony, and Dad will have a heart attack. We're gonna have to tell my family, she panicked. Everything. I know you trust them, and that's enough for me. What if they don't agree? She suddenly grew worried. I mean, I know I practically jumped the gun, but I can feel you're my soulmate, so I'm not breaking our bond. Then we'll ease them into it. What if? Hush now, dear. He got a blush from her. We're going through this together, alright? So don't get all worked up. Okay, dear. She got him to widen his smile, which, in turn, made her blush grow. After a few moments of comfortable silence, he asked, So what do you want, huh? The wish? Yep, anything at all, besides reincarnating your mother. Wait, why not? She asked, not really sad nor disappointed, only surprised. She figured it was kinda immoral to wake the sleeping. I was gonna do it, rather my clone's already doing it, for you and her, 'cause she was still in the mortal plane, staying at her grave, not passing on, so yeah, I gave her another chance. My mom heard everything. Oh geez, that was kinda embarrassing. No, she's resting now. She'll be fine in a few. In walking and talking condition, so wish. Give me my first kiss. He was gonna ask if she was sure, but he'd do that anyway, but he knew that she was sure, that she wasn't a materialistic girl, that she certainly with her choice, and so he kissed her, melded their lips together oh so tenderly, caressing her face like the most precious being that she is. They were conveying their feelings for each other, no matter how recent it was that they had it. They didn't care. They understood each other on a whole different level, trust each other with their lives, knowing that it'll be treasured. Only and only the need for air separated their soft and tender lip lock. I know it's too soon to be saying this, but I love you. His beautiful crimson rose said with the prettiest blush he had ever seen that made his brain into mush. It's never too soon for love, he thought. I love you too. Her bright son said with a sincere smile that made her stomach jump in happiness. Daw, so sweet. A voice suddenly squeaked. Wait till they hear about this. Yeah, Mom, Mom, Mom. Ruby stated, first embarrassed, then confused, and then surprised. You're fine already? There stood her mother in her white cloak, looking like her actual age, as if she'd just gone on a vacation instead of dying, though she still looked beautiful, as not much changed with her visage. You're a soulmate, Summerall said in a teasing tone that had her daughter blush once more. Made a great job of making me a new body. I mean, look at me. It's like I never died, she said while examining her body. She then turned to Naruto and bowed her head to him. I don't know how to thank you, my lord. This is such a great opportunity to be given the chance to live once more. Please just call me Naruto. You're my mother-in-law now, he said in a joyful tone. That's a good point. Then you'll have to call me Mom, or at the very least summer. She got a smile and a nod for an answer. Now come on, you two. Let's go home. We have two blondes waiting for us. And while we're at it, why don't you tell me and my little Rose more about yourself? Ruby had an expectant look after Summer suggested that to Naruto. Knowing more about her future husband was always good. Sure, why not? After all, they were his new family now, and he knows that he was with good people. See, back then, when I was a child, this was how their story started, how the silver-eyed girl met her godly companion.